Welcome to episode 16 of This Week in Perfect Team. I'm your host, DRC. And joining me, as always, is your kidneys. How are we doing tonight, kidneys?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited.
Are you excited? I am excited. We got Matt Clement tonight. That wasn't really my battle. That was really wait till next year's battle. But all of us Cubs fans, we co-opt each other's causes. So I'm happy for him. And now we're just one card short of the 2004 Cubs rotation, missing only Carlos Zambrano at this time. But let's get back to business here. So we are This Week in Perfect Team. And what we do here is we provide instant community feedback on all new content releases. And we received, what is this? We have 3 more after this or 2 more after this?
I think it's 3, but I'm not 100%.
We are running out. We are running out of content releases for Out of the Park Perfect Team 21. And we need to savor the ones that we have. We need to savor the flavor. Snaggle Jay calling us out in the chat. It's either 2 or 3 left. He only said it 4 times on the stream. There's 2 or 3 left, and so we need to savor the flavor. And we got a nice one to savor tonight. We're going to go through all of those cards with you guys. We do have a great show for you. So what is on tonight's show? We are going to break down the 12 Marcus-inspired CEO collection cards. And holy cow, what's going on in the chat? What am I missing over here? We've got Mac Jacks dropping out 10 gift subs on the community, including one going to Swecky Ox, our wonderful meme lord. Love to see that. Thank you, Mac. Your support is very much appreciated. We got Death Deal subscribing. We've got Chuck dropping a 5 gift sub bomb on the community as well. Hitting up Waddy, who seems to win a giveaway on this channel like every week. So thank you there. We got Walnut subscribing 4 straight months now for him. You guys are awesome. Loving it. So tonight we got our 12 Marcus cards. And then for OK Boomer, OK Zoomer, tonight we are doing 90s toys. We're going to see what kidneys can remember of 90s toys. I almost made the mistake of having a repeat. I had quizzed kidneys in the past about moon shoes, and I almost did it again tonight, which would have given him a layup. But I caught it, last minute change, and we got a new toy in there. Can't wait to get to that. And then lastly, we have got a gigantic announcement at the end tonight. We're going to walk through that, explain it to you, but that's for all intents and purposes, that is a surprise for now. But if you're noticing me being a little bit more amped up tonight, it is about that final segment and final discussion that we have for you guys tonight. So let's party on, Wayne, and talk about the broadcast schedule for this channel. On Thursdays, we do this show. On Sundays, I head over to the mothership, the Out of the Park Twitch channel, and I broadcast for you the Perfect League World Series. We go play-by-play. We look at each of those Perfect League World Series games. We break down what the teams are doing, what the managers are trying to do against one another, and each week we crown a champion. We determine who is at the top of the 27,000+ team Perfect Team ladder. And that's a ton of fun, so make sure you join on Sunday nights there. That stream starts once we have a matchup for the World Series. Then on Tuesdays, we've got an interview show called Reading Between the Lineups. And this coming Tuesday, we've got King Julian coming on. And I've given him the moniker for this time, of the DLL Slayer. Because he came into DLL last week and he took down the World Series. We talk a lot about that come next Tuesday. Join the channel Discord. So I say it every week. I'll say it again. I'll put the link in the chat. Boom. Come on in there. It's a fun place to talk about the show, a fun place to talk about Perfect Team, talk about in-game strategy, tournaments, team building, data. We've got a channel called Kidneys Health in there, because why not? But come on in and have some fun. All right, time to get down to business. We are starting tonight with a Bo Jackson card, and holy cow, Kidneys, look at this card. Have you ever, in your entire 17-year life, seen a card has a bigger bird profile than this one? Have you ever?
No. Can we get some bird spam in the chat for the soon-to-be banned emote on the OTP Twitch channel, as Chris called it out? Man, I mean, there's not much to say here. It's Bo Jackson. Like Chris said, I think he could do some push-ups. What do you think?
My goodness, you can't get any birdier than this. I mean, the avoid Ks is hilariously low. hilariously low. 16 going both ways. Contact is in the 50s, and then power's off the charts. Like, when you look up bird emote in the Out of the Park Perfect Team Dictionary, I'm quite sure you're going to see this Bo Jackson card there when you get there.
It's funny because somebody was asking me about his BAPIP. It's actually not bad because his avoid Ks is so pitiful. So he actually will make contact when he doesn't strike out 300 times in a best-of-7 tournament.
Speaking of striking out 300 times, you do have in your wonderful modeling brilliance an expected triple slash line for that owner that feels ambitious, that feels a little wanting to walk out on the wild side and play a card that no one else is playing. And if you pop this guy into your perfect league lineup, you can expect a triple slash line against left-handed pitching of 098, 123, and 161.
I'd just say if you played this guy in Perfect League, my projections are 440 strikeouts. So.
Which pitcher is going to give up a hit to Bo Jackson? Which pitcher is going to give up a batted ball to Bo Jackson?
Yeah, that's 440 strikeouts and 600 plate appearances, by the way. So
that might be low. I don't know.
Might be.
But this is Bo Jackson. As far as what this means, and maybe we need to back up a step. So the bird profile, the birth of the bird profiles, we were looking to give a name to this profile of card that has routinely struggled within the Perfect Team ladder outside of entry pool. And so what we did is we took the ratings and we put them on their side. And when you do such a thing, it kind of looks like a bird. And so that's where the bird profile came from. And the reason that we've denoted it as such is it's just not typically the thing that you want to fill up your team with, even if we're talking about, say, a bronze tournament meta. The meta, which has been shaken up significantly since getting a truckload of new cards dropped into it. I would not for a second plug Bo Jackson into that evolving roster. You can look for better cards. Moving on, we've got Hubie Brooks. How about this card? Take a look at that versus left batting profile. We've got a third baseman here who's a third baseman in name only. That's probably not a defensive profile you want to put out there, or a defensive skill rating of 36 that you feel comfortable with in your silver tournament. But look at the VL profile here. We've got a 92 contact on a low silver. The avoid case isn't great, but it's also not hilariously bad, and the power is low enough where you're likely getting a pretty strong BABIP out of this card. Tell me about Hubie Brooks.
So I just pulled him up here on my screen, and he's rocking 102 BABIP, 98 V left, 105 V right. So this card's going to hit in silver. He's probably, a VL only DH is his niche, but it's certainly one you could throw out there and play. Little slow, not going to play for you defensively, but he's going to hit the ball against lefties.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think it's interesting from that perspective, but, is there someone in that existing meta that is a better option for you on that very tight niche that you talked about there versus left DH, a guy that's on your roster to take a very, very small percentage of at-bats. I don't know what the meta is like from a starting pitching handedness perspective, but for example, in bronze, where you rarely see a left-handed starting pitcher, a card like this is just going to bat so infrequently. We're talking about late game pinch hit plate appearances predominantly, and then on those versus left plate appearances, or the time where you get a left-handed starting pitcher, you're getting maybe 2 at-bats before a righty's going to come in there and slam the door on you. So it's a tough usage profile to get too excited about.
I think he actually compares pretty well to some of the other silver DH options, just because the BABIP is so absurdly high that he's going to make contact. So if you're looking for a contact hitter, he's going to hit quite a few doubles too with that gap power. So I think he's worth a shot if you need some more average in your lineup V left. That's his niche. I wouldn't say it pretty much everywhere else. But yeah.
Awesome. And before we move on, I got to call out Dishnet, who resubscribed. Thanks a lot. And then Chuck threw 3 more gifts at the community, including one going to Mr. Snaggle J himself, who loves our bird emote and probably wants to see more and more of that in the Out of the Park channel. Our expected PEL slash line for Hubie Brooks has a bunch of 200s versus left-hand pitching, and then you're in the 100s versus right. This is a low silver card, so we put this up just for illustration purposes, not a consideration to use in Perfect League. And look at Snaggle! Look at Snaggle getting rowdy in the chat. 10 gift subs coming out from Snaggle J himself, including one going to Dangerous Dean 7. Man, thank you so much, Snaggle. You're the man. All right, Birdie Emote's gone. The customers have spoken. Birdie Emote. I better not see any more Birdie Emotes in that chat. Better not see any more.
No more. You see, this is what Snaggle made the mistake of doing today, which was telling Twitch chat not to do something. Whenever you tell Twitch chat not to do something, it's kind of the Streisand effect.
All right, moving on. We've got Tommy Davis. And as interesting as that last bat was, do we potentially have an even more interesting bat here? We're giving up some eyes. We're giving up some walks and some OBP generation there. But look at this VL profile. 94 on the contact, 69 on the avoid K. And the power's low enough where it's not going to be too much of a hindrance for you. What do you like about Tommy Davis?
I like a lot. Because Tommy Davis just kind of clocks out better than the last card a little bit. The issue with the last card is the last card's probably going to make more raw contact. What this is going to do is he's got the bump and avoid Ks pretty significantly, so he's probably going to average out a bit better. The cool thing about this card is he does have emergency position eligibility at third base, as JPAC puts in quotes, plays third base, yeah. But he could be an interesting platoon option even in left field. I mean, that defense isn't great, but it's playable in a tournament setting, I think. So, I think this card probably sees quite a bit more play than the last one just because it's a little bit flexible.
Yeah, that 11 center field defense just calling for you to set him as your backup in center field, I say entirely in jest.
Yeah, the issue is, as J-Ronk puts it, Alex Thomas is a card. And Alec Thomas has been the left fielder in Silver for forever. I think this card might be a possible platoon option with Alec Thomas because I really, really like this card's bat, the left. I think it's actually really, really good. But if you don't want to platoon Alec Thomas, which is very reasonable, I think this card does have a shot to be an okay DH as well.
And as we look at the expected PEL slash line of Tommy Davis, we do see that the slugging jumps up into the 300s. So as we compare it to the last card we looked at, which was 200s across the board, this one's got a profile that's going to hit for some extra bases at the very highest level, which no one will ask it to do, but that's likely illustrative of the point that it's going to be a more dangerous bat versus left than the last card that we looked at. Moving on, we've got Max Kepler, the German, handpicked by Marcus. Completely understandable there. And wait, what's that? Oh, no. No! Get it off the screen! No! Snaggle's going to be mad. We can't make Snaggle mad. Well, this is another bird profile here. And, you just look at the contact avoid K profile, and I think we're just in trouble here. We're in trouble. I'm sure the BABIP doesn't like too much of what's going on here. From a defensive perspective, could he be your D sub, or you're someone that you play with some positional flexibility, because you are getting 62 rated center field out of him. I have my doubts. I just really don't think this card is going to hit too much, even on the silver scene. But tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. The issue with Max Kepler is my favorite buzzword in the out of the park game. It is BABIP. This card clocks in around a 30. And when you're anywhere below 50, we have the Cal Ripken effect, especially on lower rated cards, and I just consider it almost completely unplayable. So I think this card won't hit anything. Wait till next year. Our Silver Boy actually is pretty fond of this as kind of like a defensive option in right field that puts some power into your lineup. I think the 29 BABIP or 30 BABIP is too low for him to fit, but he is probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive right field option you could have there. Well, not the best, but one of the best ones. And he is going to inject some power. So while he's not going to run any bases and he's not going to hit consistently, I mean, he'll probably be sub 100 in some tournaments. He does have a little bit of utility there.
Look at the haunting emotes that Chuck8403 has in the chat. I mean, I was taken aback as I saw those being spammed in the chat, wondering what on earth it could be. I hover over it. It says Snaggle Face. And then I click on it, and I see that that is a Tier 1 sub-emote on the Snaggle J Twitch channel. Haunting stuff indeed. I shudder to think at what the other emotes could possibly be. But thanks, Chuck, for...
Can we ban Snaggle Face if he bans the bird emote?
I think turnabout's fair play.
I agree.
All right, moving on from Mr. Kepler here. Oh, no, before we do that, let's look at the expected Perfect League slash. We're in the 100s again, so even though we're jumping up into a high silver from a medium silver, we're looking at OBPs under 2 and sluggings under 2 versus right. So not a card you want at the highest level. Debatably a card you don't want at silver. We've got Wait Till Next Year in the chat saying maybe, just maybe, for defense. I'd be curious to hear if 76 range with the ability to play right and back up center field kinda is really all that competitive, but he's that domain expert, whereas I'm a pretender. Moving on, we've got Matt Clement. We said it in the beginning, and we've got it here. Holy cow, look at this card. You know, Snaggle was getting more and more outward with his trolling in the Discord channel, or in the Discord, and I wondered, could that mean that there was an end coming to Matt Clement watch? I felt like it was almost daily for the past week that we were updating the Matt Clement day counter for how many days we had been in the perfect team cycle without seeing one, and that watch and that counter has finally come down to 0 as Matt Clement has made it into the game. Now, what is this card? How competitive is this card? We've got a stuff heavy. Wait, let me fix this real quick. There's one thing I noticed that was wrong. There we go. You got to get Matt Clement's beard. Any card for Matt Clement has to accentuate what was just a hideous bit of chin fuzz that he had. And so we've got that, so we can continue on with the card analysis here. It's a stuff heavy card with no movement and no control. Even in silver, like, how competitive is this going to be? Now, I will say, looking at the velocity at 95 to 97, looking at the pitch values, you are going to get a decent little stuff boost here. So if Matt Clement is, say, 114 on the stuff, is this a card that you're willing to gamble with in your silver bullpen? I have my doubts, but that's why I have you here. So tell me what to think about Matt Clement.
No. Sadly, there is another card. If you were looking for this kind of profile in a silver bullpen, there's a card. It's a live card, Tyler Glasnow. Tyler Glasnow hits 130 something in the bullpen with a little less movement and about the same control. So I would take Tyler Glasnow over this card any day. That said, I always enjoy a good Snaggle J troll, so I'm happy to have this card, but Glasnow is really your option here.
And if we were to play this card within Perfect League, we would be expecting to find some really hideous FIPS. We're looking at VL of 8.3 and VR of 8.1, and yet, it's my favorite. Matt Clement is the DRC favorite. 1, it's a Cubs card. 2, it makes Wait Till Next Year happy, and he was my guest on Tuesday on Reading Between the Lineups, and he's a good person and a fellow Cubs fan as well. And, the game just needed more Clement. And so this is my favorite card. One thing I'll call out is a little story time here. I know you guys hate these, but I just can't help myself. So 2003, we all recall, was a nightmare year as a Cubs fan. Well, it was a great year and a nightmare year at the same time. They get into the playoffs. They beat the Braves in wildly dramatic form in 5 games. I was actually at the game in Atlanta. Game 5 was incredible. And then they go to the NLCS and they face the Marlins. And Jay Ronk's probably in the chat talking trash right now. Don't want to see it. I'm not even going to look. And then Bartman happens, and then Game 7 happens where Kerry Wood hits a home run and they don't win. But going into 2004, so the Cubs finally get a taste of some playoff success. They finally consider themselves maybe like a real threat to do something. And then going into 2004, not only do we still have a rotation wrapped in youth and talent with Wood, Pryor, and Zambrano. Not only do we have Matt Clement, who's a very solid arm, but we add Greg Maddux to the fold. Like, of course we're going to build on 03's success, get Maddux in the fold, and just probably win 100, 110 games the next year. And down the stretch of 2004, the Cubs could not buy a bucket couldn't get a win to save their life. They squander away what was a division leader, a wild card lead. I can't even recall. And the rest is history there. But Matt Clement's my favorite card here. 2004 Cubs are a rotation that I'll never forget because 1 through 5, you had someone who purportedly could be or was an ace and just wasn't in the cards. Oh, let's call out Port Dog. Port Dog just subscribed with his Amazon Prime account. Thanks a lot, buddy. Let's see, is J Ronk in the chat? Good. He's not chirping. Although Snaggle J is talking about Moises Alou and his idiosyncrasies. Now we got Jeff Blauser. So, you're probably getting a Cubs anecdote here with Blauser, but let's work our way into it. So we've got a shortstop card here that is not quite playing shortstop level defense with no stock defense anywhere else. So that could be problem number one. As we look at the hitting ratings, it's definitely a platoonable card, much better versus left than he is versus right. You've got a pretty notable eye here for a middle infielder, although middle infielder might need to be in quotes because of that shortstop level defense. What do you think of Jeff Blauser?
I think Blauser is just one of those cards you wish had maybe like third base or first base on him. Because outside of that is competing with first left DH, and I think we just saw Tommy Davis is just probably a better option at that position, given Jeff Blauser's not really going to hit for contact, though his power and his on base is going to be okay. So I think we have a card that's just a little bit outclassed here, but it's not a terrible card for a silver tournament.
If there was a feature on this show where we picked our least favorite card, this would undoubtedly be it. And not because this card is all that bad or that Chris is bad at selecting cards or curating content as recommended by Marcus, but this one cuts a little bit deeper. So let's talk about our buddy Jeff Blauser here, and I've included the 1989 Upper Deck art because I want to say that was Doc's favorite within the DLL chat. There were other cards I could have chose, but I did this for him. And let's tell a little story about Mr. Jeff Blauser. So Blauser played 11 years for the Braves and put up a very admirable triple slash line, 268, 355, 415. A shortstop who, maybe didn't have the best range in the world, but got on base and slugged a little bit. But within those 11 years, he did more than just put up good numbers for the Braves. He put up stupendous numbers versus the Cubs. He was, if not the biggest, one of the biggest Cubs killers of my childhood. Whenever the Cubs would play the Braves, this little light-hitting shortstop would become Barry frickin' Bonds. And it drove me crazy. And it must have drove the Cubs front office crazy too, because when his contract runs up after 11 years with the Braves, what do? They sign him. They say, enough of this. I'm sick of running into the shortstop version of Barry Bonds every time we play the Braves. Let's get him on our side. And then what does Blauser proceed to do? 226, 343, 342, total bust, terrible defense. And therefore, this is my least favorite card. Kidneys, what do you have to say about that?
I think you're a little bitter here, sir. It's not a bad card. It's not necessarily a great card, but maybe if there's a bonus for playing him against DRC, I will play him in DLL because I am tired of losing to you this week. Actually, I'm just tired of losing to everyone this week. I made small adjustments after my pretty great comeback last season, and boy, has it burned.
You caught me in a good one today. So I was AFK for a little longer than planned, and then my team built for righty cheese, and my Bob Gibson SE, who's absolutely fine in my stadium, goes into your lefty cheese stadium, faces your lefty cheese lineup, and boy, did he have a little bit of a rough ride. So I ceded one to you there, so congrats to you. Next, we've got Walker Cooper, 79. Why not an 80? And we got a catcher card here, and maybe catcher deserves some air quotes as well, but this is an interesting card because it's got a very high avoid K. Now, with the very high avoid K, we have almost no I, so we're talking about very batting average heavy here. Is not going to produce value or WOBA by getting on base via the walk or the free pass. And the contact is well south of the avoid K. So I'm curious to hear from you, Mr. Kidneys. How much can we expect Walker Cooper to hit from the catcher position?
I mean, if you're catching him, You're hurting me personally. Um, Low catcher ability. For those of you maybe who are a bit newer or not a regular here, low catcher ability, it affects your pitching staff negatively compared to high catcher ability affecting your pitching staff positively. So by running this card, you're essentially making all your pitching worse. Now that said, how is the bat? What are we looking at from a bat standpoint? Honestly, this is probably a better silver bat. I don't know if it's good enough to actually play. Him being a righty with better versus right is a little interesting. He's never going to strike out, but his on base is literally 0.002 higher than his average on my metrics. And so I don't think that this card gets on base consistently enough to be good.
Yeah, we can see that with the expected perfect league slash line here being very close to one another and seeing almost no separation between our batting average and our on base percentage. And just backing up to something that you said a moment ago, this is a catcher card, and its splits or its backup card ratings here are reverse, which is interesting because it's unique. But when we're talking about the catcher position, a position where neither of your two catchers are going to be able to log more than, say, 100, 105 games, even in a best case scenario, you really have almost a natural platoon ability set up where you want to try to arrange it so that from a hitting perspective, and we can talk about the defense considerations here in a second, but from a hitting perspective, you're going to get versus right opportunities and versus left opportunities, and it's nice to have a logical platoon setup like you do at the perfect league with, say, Mauer and Campanella or Mauer and Pudge, and having a reverse splits catcher, it works against that. So that's not an asset there. I'd call that more of a bug. And so that, in addition to his catcher rating being as soft as it is and likely costing you from a catcher ERA perspective, leads me to believe that this won't be a card that people are rushing out to get for their catcher position on their silver tournament team. Next, we've got red. And I heard Chris do the name pronunciation. He did well. I don't know if I'm brave enough to give it a try. I think I got it, but we're batting 1,000 so far on name pronunciations on this stream, and I don't know that I'm ready to risk it here. So let's talk about this card and what we see. So from a shaping perspective, it's a pretty good shape. You know, we've got strong contact, strong avoid Ks, low power. So we like how that looks. And then I know you're going to talk about this a good bit here. It's a switch hitter. And what we love about switch hitters is we're negating the back of card advantage that pitchers have. So pitchers typically, say we're talking about the Matt Clement card, a little bit better versus right-hand batters than it is versus left. And so when you're a switch hitter, you avoid that. And you're typically batting versus the pitcher's weaker side. And so that gives you effectively a nice little boost. And as we look at each side here, the sides are pretty comparable. Eye pretty comparable both ways. Contact slightly better versus left. Avoid K perfectly identical. So it's a very interesting card from a bat profile that way. And then as we look over at the defense to figure out where we're going to play red, I don't love the infield defense. So for a diamond card up the middle of the field to be only 89 range, that seems like that's going to be a problem when we've got other cards like Pop Lloyd that could potentially be as part of that meta. But we do have a 79 left field rating, and we don't know at present how much range is pushing that 79, but that's something that we definitely want to find out to better analyze this card. What do you think of red?
So I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people when this is a switch hitter with a very high avoid K and low power and okay defense. I don't like this card. I don't like this card a lot. And the reason I say that is I think this may be one of the only cards in the game that has too much avoid K for its good. I mean, you could flip that on its head and say it has too much contact for its good. But the issue with this card is its BABIP is just not high enough to be a contact profile hitter, which is what it has to be with its lower power and low I. And then the defense is just below what we like to see at a high level. Now, is this card good enough to play in like a diamond tournament at second base? Or a diamond tournament, maybe in the outfield somewhere or as a utility? I think so. I think 100%. But, is this going to be a card you're throwing in your diamond league or the perfect league? Not even close, in my opinion.
So let's get a little bit remedial for anyone that might have been confused by that line of commentary by you. So why would avoid K be a problem again? Why would someone having an avoid K off the charts at 107 not be an asset?
So excellent question, 11 Soriano. How is BAPIP determined? This is what DRC has set me up to explain here is what.
Here it comes. Here, I mean, this is what people wait for. There's
yeah.
like a whole group of people that wait until you start talking BABIP and then they drink heavily. So I just worry about our fans out there and what's going to happen to them next.
So BABIP is what really contact is, and how it works is it's your avoid K and your power and your BAPIP equal your contact. So we can reverse engineer that, where we take the contact and we sub out the power and the avoid K, and it comes out with the BABIP. If you want to see what cards BABIPs are, the simple way is just go to my spreadsheet, and I have all the cards with all their the BABIP stats on them there. And so this card is rocking. He's rocking like a 65 V left and a 56 V right, which is pretty low. It's above the playable line. I consider the playable line about 50. But when you do that, you're getting close to having too low of an average to really compete at the highest level consistently.
So when Chris talked about this card, he said show indeced. And that's what I was mirroring, and that's what I was preparing to say. But as I was dancing around pronouncing it earlier, it appears that the people in the chat are saying Shane Deist. So either way, I get credit for a correct pronunciation because I dodged it. And send your heat to Jardine.
I'm glad I didn't try and say it then. Wow. I would have been very wrong.
And for anyone who wanted that sheet that Kidneys referenced, I just linked it in the chat. It's a Google Doc. You can go check it out. Download it, do what you need to it. It's an absolutely invaluable resource, and Kidneys is just a jolly good fella for the heavy amount of work that he puts into maintaining that and getting all of these new cards entered into it.
Appreciate that. The new cards will probably be up sometime after the stream's over, within the hour. And feel free to make a copy of it and then evaluate it. There's the great team builder that our friend Dob. There's some comparison tools that I find really helpful. That's what I use when I evaluate cards on stream, is just those. So I think it's a great tool. So if you guys are interested or have any questions, feel free to DM me on Discord and I'll help you out.
Moving on, we've got George. George. Why don't they just have basic names? George Lewis, George Smith, George Jones, George Ewell. We'll see if I get some heat in the chat there. But we've got a right-handed starting pitcher here, and one that's kind of basic. Not that that's a bad way to put it here, but we've got one that's got traditional splits, so a little bit better versus right-hand pitching, a little bit worse versus left-hand pitching. It's got 3 pitch values here, none of them jumping off the charts here. As we look at the velocity, it's down in the low 90s, so we're not expecting a huge stuff boost here. So in general, I don't really see a big meta mover here with George, and none of his similarity scores, none of his comps, and actually it looks like I've got Matt Clement's data up there, but none of the comps on George's backup card here were all of that impactful to the meta either. So I'm just expecting him to be another starter that you pull, and then you hope that he's part of a big collection series that gets his L7 up around 100K. What do you think?
But wait, there's more. This card has 78 contact. So I am very curious with it having a 12 power. We just talked about how BABIP works, right? The lower the power to the contact, the higher the BABIP. So this card, with being under 12, is a big benchmark for BABIP, being 12 or below. So actually, if this card has a decent avoid K, it will be a very good hitter in something like a cap tournament. So I'm very interesting what it actually could be. Is somebody saying in chat he had a high average? So I'm hoping it's good, because I think this card, while not being the best pitcher because its control is a little bit too low for what you like to see in these days, could be a great option in a cap tournament where he probably pitches just fine.
Yeah, so that's something that we'll need to check that backup card and really see the rest of the picture there. Expected PEL numbers here for Mr. George. 5.4 on the FIP versus left, 5.34 on the FIP versus right. Neither of those numbers very actionable or recommended to use within your perfect league lineup or even really your diamond league lineup. Next, we've got Harry Heilman here, and this is a power-heavy card. And despite the top of this one being all blue, you know what's peeking out there, Kidneys? What do you see?
I see a little green Void K number that I don't like, but I'm sure you're referring to the bird profile it's got going on here.
It's not a huge bird. This is a little bird, but a bird nonetheless. And so we'll just sneak that icon right into the bottom right corner of Mr. Heilman's box here, because the power is our most dominant trait. And we've got some real problems with our Avoid K here. So even though we're clocking at some really nice contact numbers with 98 on the same side versus right and 112 on the offhand side versus left, I've got some questions about how productive this card can be.
Yeah, I mean, if we can pull up the triple slash here already, it's not great, Chief. It is a pretty rough ride for Harry. So he's going to slug a bit, but he's just not going to consistently hit the ball because he's going to strike out so often. So that's really this card's issue. I mean, the BAPIP's okay, and the power's high, and the gap's high, but he's got lower I and very low Void K is, kind of a train wreck right here. Yeah,
totally. And because it's a 100 rated card, there's no tournament meta for us to deploy him into that is beneath that threshold of needing to dominate amongst all of the cards within the game. So we can't plug this guy into a gold tournament, a diamond tournament. It would be a poor and misuse of your points to put him into a cap tournament. So Mr. Harry here, I think you're waiting on a collection to hope for fortune if you're lucky enough to pull one of these.
Yeah, I think the thing, Chuck's saying weekly dead ball tournament. So you platoon Harry with Roger at first. That's an interesting thing. I think it would be probably a waste to platoon Roger for this card. I think Roger Connor would hit better if he left almost. I think this card's really bad. So maybe I'm wrong in that. I don't exactly know the weekly dead ball meta, but.
Well, I can tell you that Roger Connor versus left in perfect is going to slash something like 260, 300, and then probably 370 or 380 or so. So I would expect a higher batting average for sure than Harry if his expected PEL slash is roughly around where he's going to land.
Yeah, I think it's rough. I also want to just shout out T-Chuck because he consistently has the most bold, hottest takes. And a lot of them, I think, are just really interesting. And he kind of plays the game in a slightly different way than everybody else does, but he's been really successful doing so. So I just think that's always a really cool thing to see. He's not afraid of trying something new or trying to theory craft something on the spot. So
I remember Richie Ashburn night. He was in the chat saying Ashburn takes down Speaker, right?
Yes, he was. And I quoted that in Discord, and we had a little flame thrown my way about that one, if I remember right. But I didn't give up my source, and now I did. You did it, so you just ruined my heroic effort.
Oh wow! Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Quick call outs to Red Dude for subscribing with Amazon Prime now 2 months in a row. Thanks a lot, dude. We got Wait Till Next Year, who got his Matt Clement cards and is feeling very Santa-esque himself and has gifted 5 subscriptions to the channel. So welcome to those 5 new folks tonight, and thank you, Wait Till Next Year, for your support as always. Next, we've got...
I just want to shout out my dad, and that's my cousin, for subscribing. Thank you, boys.
Oh, nice. Welcome to the family. JM Roto. There we go.
That's my dad, yeah.
Keep it in the family. Love it. All right, next we've got Jackie Robinson. Holy cow, who was expecting a Jackie Robinson tonight? This was a complete and total surprise to me. What about you?
I was not expecting it, but I'm very pleasantly surprised we got it. I mean, this is such a different Jackie Robinson than the other ones. I mean, obviously the hitting is not better, but he's still a really solid V left bat, and his V right is actually really respectable too. And then look at that. That's 108 infield range. This card impresses me. I'm ashamed it's a little bit on the slower side for Jackie. But overall, and it's even got flexibility in the outfield. I mean, this is a really cool card.
Yeah, so look at the bat similarity scores. This is really our first real chance to break it out tonight. What you're getting here is a Cap Anson-esque batting profile. Let's break it down by the sides and really go side by side here to take a look. We'll start with the versus left. This is where he's going to do his best hitting. And as we look at versus left, he's almost a carbon copy for Cap Anson 96. A card that was a huge performer in early meta and was widely desired and used prior to the Team of the Decade cards launching the Cap Anson 99 special edition card. And so as we do look at that Cap Anson 99, which is the second closest comp, that card is putting up some really nice numbers in Perfect. 777 in a very large sample size of at-bats in Perfect League. That's a great number. That's something that is extremely competitive. Now, I do expect Jackie to be beneath that, because as we compare it to that Cap Anson 99 card, we see we've got less contact, less eye, less avoid case. So we're going to be below that number, but there's a good chance that we're above 700, maybe well above 700, which for a card that can play really good infield defense, that's a huge asset. And someone threw in the chat, or maybe you just said it, it's kind of a Pop Lloydian defensive profile. That's our number one hit on the glove similarity scores because they have identical range. And now Pop is better at the surrounding stats. He's better at avoiding errors slightly, which doesn't have that huge of an impact, so nothing I'd worry about there. Pop has a slightly better arm. Again, second base, not a huge deal there. 6 points on the double play, so we'll go ahead and tip the nod there to Pop Lloyd there. Maybe we're talking about a run or two over the course of a season in the favor of Pop Lloyd, but Pop Lloyd doesn't hit at all in Perfect, despite all the people that like to send me screen caps of their Pop Lloyd putting up empty 270 averages to convince me otherwise. And so if Jackie can come into this game right now and give you 730 OPS versus left, maybe 740, and then versus right hold his own as well, which is what he's going to be doing most of his at-bats, I think that's really interesting. What I did is I pulled up his current card, and I'm just going to overlay it right here at the top of the screen for you guys to check out. And we can see the differences here. Yes, the current Jackie, the current special edition Jackie, is the better hitter. There's no doubt there. The current Jackie is the better base runner. There's no doubt there. But the current Jackie, the current SE, really can't and shouldn't be playing second base at the very highest level. You still see it, but we've seen more and more people move away from it in favor of much higher range options. When Jackie was competing for that role with just the Ernie Banks of the world, and the Luke Applings of the world, and the Huey Jennings of the world, the drop down from 99 range to 92 was a bit more acceptable, given how much more bat you were getting. But now that we're in a meta that includes your Brooks Robinsons, your Rabbit Marinvilles, your Pop Lloyds, it's not quite as much anymore. So the current Jackie SE, even though it's going to hit more than this card, really can't play middle infield. So what makes this one really interesting is that it flips that narrative. He can play middle infield. So even though he's going to hit less, this might be a more playable card than Jackie SE.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here. The difference between Jackie SE and this card, V left, in my model is literally barely anything. And this card is so much better defensively than Jackie SE. I don't really think it's a competition. Also, when I was talking about having the lower base running numbers, I was corrected by two people, and they are correct, that he has the good speed stealing base running kind of profile compared to the other card, which has speed higher than the stealing, which means you always have to turn his stealing slider all the way down to nothing. So this card might actually be a better base runner. It's almost the same hitter V left, and the defense is just fantastic. Now, obviously, as Catch the Ball is pointing out in the chat, the price difference. This is going to be probably one of the most sought-after cards we've seen in quite a while, I think, from packs. I think this card just pushes Brooks Robinson out, if you have the ability to acquire him, that is.
Yeah, so as we compare him to the Brooks, that's a fun exercise. So let me get the old Jackie off the screen. And so the current Brooks is 106 on the range. So go ahead and give Jackie a couple in that direction. Has a really strong error, really strong arm, and then one less on the double play. So for Jackie to be better than Brooks, we're saying that 2 points of range for a second baseman is more valuable than a ton of error and a ton of arm.
I think it's close. Close enough, but I also think Jackie's bat is miles above Brooks Robinson.
Right.
I mean, Brooks Robinson was like, we were all surprised at how well a card could hit for being, a middle infielder potentially. But comparing this card to that card, I don't even think it's close. I think this card, if you can acquire it, is a must play in pretty much every scenario except maybe lefty cheese.
Absolutely.
Somebody said they just opened it. How much should you sell it for? I mean, I would put it up for like $2 million. I'm not kidding.
I mean, these cards are going to be impossible to find, and they play in perfect league. So
yeah, no, I would put it up for $2 million. Would be my starting price, and let it bid for a bit.
Yeah, that is a hot poll. So congratulations to Zozu85. Now I want to go back to something that was said in the chat.
Yeah, don't do a buy it now on it. Just put it up for $2 million and put it up for like 3 hours or something. Is what I would do.
So we've got Marksman13 in the chat saying that the last two Perfect League winners had Jackie at second base, and that is absolutely a fact. But we've also seen a shift in the number of second base innings for Jackie be shrinking, or at least that's what I'm seeing it within my data, especially within the DLL. So seeing a shift from those people looking to get that 92 range out there and moving more to higher range options, higher defensive options. Someone like an API, I would guess, would not be caught dead with a 92 range player out at second base. So there's many ways to win. We see people winning with very defensively questionable teams. I think we had a team in the Perfect League World Series last week or the week before that was ranked 15th or 16th in their conference in ZR, in efficiency. And so there are different ways to win. You can win with Jackie SE 92 at second base, but that's no longer something that I personally am endorsing or able to stomach as I look at my team builds. I'm running a righty cheese build right now, and I've got Brooks Robinson as my second baseman. I know he's going to hit less than Jackie, but I'm going to be accepting of that for the 14 points of additional range and the additional plays made that happen as a result of that ability to get to more balls.
Well, let's just say right here, right? So SE Jackie, people are willing to play at second base and give up the defensive luxury of another card, right? This card is almost that same bat V left and not quite the bat V right, but still very solid V right. It has 15 more range. 15. I like this card is absolutely nuts. I think it's a really great card. I'm so happy we got it to headline tonight. It's just overall absolutely fantastic.
As we look at our expected Perfect League slash line here, we're stronger versus left with 259, 321, 397. And then versus right, we're holding our own with a 246, 310, 380. Card like this makes a lot of contact, is going to be even better in a righty cheese type park setup. But we've really got a lot going on here. And with that, Kidneys, you have proclaimed this one to be your favorite card within the set.
Yeah, I think I've talked enough about it. I just think this is, I don't know. Maybe I'll go out on a limb and I say it's like the best hitter in the game. Like if I could pick any one hitter to have on my team, it would probably be this card right now.
Hot take brought to you by your Kidneys. Last, certainly not least, we've got Edgar Martinez. Sweet swinging Edgar Martinez. Beautiful little profile here. And the first thing I'll call out is that the card art. Not often do we have card art that seems to match reality so perfectly as this one. I couldn't find a good camera shot from the center field cam, but I feel like that really does look like Edgar. And when you have the resemblance, the physical resemblance captured in the card art put together by Daniel Wallner, I just love it. It really amplifies the experience for me. Maybe I'm alone, or maybe you feel the same way. But this is an interesting looking card here. It's going to hit lefties with that 114 contact rating, 100 I, so it's going to be able to add some on base percentage to the overall triple slash to raise it up. The avoid K is kind of an acceptable fringy 79. So we're looking at a versus left profile that feels pretty good. Power is not too high to become problematic there. Now versus right, we run into some issues here. Only 102 contact, only 91 on the I, and the avoid K drops down to 73. So this card is really going to struggle at the highest level versus right-hand pitching. And so if that's the case, it's going to need to really be a defensive savant to earn playing time in a lineup versus right, and it's just not that. This is a first base level, DH level bat, and so we're really looking at that niche position of versus left platoon bat, and there are cards in the game that likely render him not your first choice.
Yeah, that's the thing with this card is the bat is just a little bit dated. If we get this card pre-face of the franchise, it might see some play, but avoid K is just too low for it, in my opinion, to be an end game first base or DH option.
Yeah, and as we compare it to other cards within the game, let's look at that Al Kaline 100. It's got a perfect league hit here within our bat similarity score table, and it's a right-handed batter, which is why we'll focus on him over Ty Cobb at first here. Looking at the comparison here, he's basically Al Kaline with a ton less power, and then with less avoid K, and Kaline in small sample. I was doing 775 in the perfect league. So I do expect him to break that 700 threshold versus left and likely settle in somewhere around 750 or so. Your triple slash line here has him at, what is that, about 730, 725 or so. And I think that's a decent estimate for where he's going to be. Versus right, though, I just don't see that same type of production. We've got Kaline in that versus right as well. And he's also got less contact and less avoid Ks than that K-line as well. So that is your content set, the CEO collection. We've got Jackie as Kidney's favorite card. We've got Clement as my favorite card. Any closing thoughts here on the CEO collection, Mr. Kidneys?
I was disappointed. I saw Bo Jackson, a man who can do a lot of push-ups, and instantly I was hoping for a set with about 100 worth of push-ups in it, and I don't think we got that. I think we need a stronger set next year from Marcus.
Yeah, I think that the Jeff Blauser card is something that we'll never forget. The Matt Clement card, something we'll never forget. And we've got a request in the chat from Enigma, Simple Enigma, saying that we need some more shade thrown at Edgar so that price gets to a point where he can act on it in the auction house. But as far as my takeaways for tonight, I think it was cool getting another Jackie, and a Jackie that is very defensive focused. A Jackie that's not so much of a base runner where you're looking at BSR and his bat to drive the value, but rather one that you're putting out there for his glove, for his really, at this point, very well-rounded skill set. Not going to stand out in any one area, but he's going to be very competitive when compared to the other bats at his position. He's going to add a little value on the bases with base running, stealing some bases, not a ton, but stealing some, and then playing really good defense. All right, so moving on, we've now got our seventh inning stretch, and as all viewers of the show know, what do we do during the seventh inning stretch? We play everyone's favorite game show, Okay Boomer, Okay Zoomer. And tonight, remember, the theme is toys. I can already see Kidneys getting nervous over there, wriggling around in his chair, very uncomfortable, because I believe you're working on a 3-week losing streak right now that you're trying to shake tonight. How do you like your chances?
I'm calling out Yuka because that was what I was doing. I was stretching right there, so I actually stretched. No, see, the problem is I am a man of many resources. I'm not a man of many talents. And after a hiatus, my boy Swecky is back. And good luck getting this one, my friend.
Uh-oh. Throwing some fire down. I'm a little nervous, but we'll get into it first. As always, you go first. So on the other side of this click, there is a 90s toy that you need to identify. What is this?
Oh, it's a Furby. I had these.
No, 1 for 1. Kidney's off to a hot start, nailing the Furby like it's nothing.
They brought these back when I was like maybe 8 or 9, I think, and we had them. I did a horror story of one of my friends. They literally they chucked it in the woods because it was broken and wouldn't stop talking, and then they went out like a month later and they kicked something and it started talking again. It's absolutely terrifying. These things are horror shows.
Yeah, my brother had one when he was very young, and it was haunting then, and I'm sure it's still haunting now in whatever dumpster it's in. Next, what is this game? What is this game called? Everyone had one of these. It's extremely frustrating. Very difficult to actually do what it is intending you to do. And eventually you lose all the pieces and can't even play it.
What is the name of this? Because I've played it many times at a friend's house when I was growing up as well. So I think we need to find some new toys. Operation. There we go. That's what it was.
This one's called Operation. So we're 1 for 2 now for kidneys, unless you didn't steal that from the chat. Last and not least, can you get 2 out of 3? What video game console is this? It's either going to be really easy or hilariously hard.
Well, is that an NES?
Pardon?
Is that an NES, Nintendo Entertainment System?
Ooh, judges?
No. Am I too
judges,
old with
are we
that?
giving it to him or are we not? Oh, no.
I mean, it also
Chat-
says Nintendo on it, but I'm familiar with the controllers, so.
So
Definitely no.
this is a Nintendo 64.
Oh, it's the other one. Okay,
So
I know the
60
controller, but I couldn't remember which one.
64-bit game system. The NES was their 8-bit system. So in between NES and N64, you had Super Nintendo, which was their 16-bit.
SNES. Okay.
So yeah, kudos to you for calling out that
I had GameCube when I was first starting to grow up. So
GameCube. I think that came
not
out
old
after
enough
this
yet.
one. Yeah,
It did. Yes, it was the one after, I think.
Wow. Well, so 1 out of 3 for kidneys. Strong performance, and kudos to whoever called out GoldenEye in the chat. I think I spent more time playing GoldenEye than anything. And for anyone
GoldenEye's pretty legendary.
who's curious, playing with Oddjob is cheating. It's absolutely cheating. Should not ever be allowed. Anyone who argues otherwise, it really says a lot about them. All right, excellent. Seems like we got most people in agreement, except for Crash saying it's a house rule. Oh no, house rule, no Oddjob, so he's in agreement. All right, so let us move on. It is a Nintendo 64, and now it is time for the meme. It appears we have a video here. Let's dive in and see what you have for us. See what you and Swecky have cooked up.
Step into my office. Hold my calls. PP, Pirates Plunder, Escudeloca, Rawlings Cufflinks, offer you to smoke out.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
What is this? So I saw perfect points. I think I heard it say Raleigh's cufflinks.
Rawlings cufflinks.
Rawlings cufflinks. Okay. I have no idea what I just watched. I literally have nothing. I don't know what this show is. I don't know what this reference is. I got nothing.
So this is a show from 2002 called Clone High. The man on your screen right now is JFK. The other man is, what was his name? I forget what his name was, but he's played by Jack Black. And it is voiced over in the clip by Swecky. I think if you could try and turn up the volume on it a little bit, maybe chat could hear it a little better.
Yeah, I'll play it one
become
more.
a big meme recently.
All I'll play it one more time. I can't get it any louder, but maybe if we're all intently focused, we can pick up some more of that dialogue.
Step into my office. Hold my calls. PP, Pirate's Plunder, Escudaloca, Rawlings Cufflinks, offer you to smoke out.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Well, I'm going to give you this one. You got one of your three correct, and I still don't really know what this is all about. So you're back in the W column after 3 weeks of limping along. I think you got swept the last 3 weeks, so it's good to see you back up off the mat. It appears that stretching was important for you, so we'll see if that becomes a regular routine and ritual for you.
I'm
we
surprised
move on.
nobody's noticed. I always stretch at the 7th inning stretch.
Well, that concludes OK Boomer, OK Zoomer on a somber tone with the win streak behind us. We move on to our final segment. And this final segment might be the most I've ever been excited to announce something to date. We've done a lot on these airwaves. We've done a lot of cool shows. We've debuted cool things. We've announced cool things. And really nothing has me quite as jazzed as what we're going to share with you guys tonight. So super excited to share it with you. And what we're sharing with you is the Meta with Kidneys, which is going to be a brand new show that Kidneys is going to be bringing to you on his Twitch channel. Kidneys, what can you tell us about this new show? And really, where's it coming from?
So I've been working on something like this for quite a while now. And I wanted to do something on my own, away from the bald man that whips me every Thursday to get into shape. And, this is something I've put a lot of time into, a lot of effort into. And I really want to bring this to you guys as another outlet to get some more Perfect Team info and really kind of grow together as a community and players.
That is awesome. And again, I couldn't be more excited for you. I know you're going to do an incredible job on this, and I just can't wait for it to get started. Let's jump into and talk about how the show is going to be formatted. What can people expect to see?
So the first segment we have is called Out with the Old. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the new cards we've seen over the past week or 2 weeks come into the meta. What are they replacing and how best to use them? So not just, like cards in Perfect or cards in Diamond, your competitive cards, but also tournament cards and what those are doing in the gaps and how they've been performing. And a lot of different options to help you better utilize, the new cards that come out.
And I think one of those use cases that a lot of people, especially in Diamond and Perfect League, are looking at right now is cards like the Gehrig, Nap, and Bonds cards that we got last week. And we reviewed them on this show, but we really don't have a mechanism with this show to recap those cards, go back and see how right or wrong we were, and really inform the community with a recommended action, saying something along the lines of Gehrig is incredible versus right. We thought he was going to be good, and he's really flaming good, and so you need to get out and get one, or we were totally wrong on this. We yield back on our buy recommendation, so I think that's going to be a very welcome addition to the community.
Yep, and then our second segment I'm going to do, this is kind of your main course here, is going to be Roster Doctor. And what that is it's going to be a way for us to work together where you guys help me out and you send me your rosters, and then on stream I will help you build a better one or edit them. You're going to send in your roster, you'll send in a budget, and what your goal is. Do you want to win Perfect Team? Do you want to generate some perfect points? Are you just trying to get out of gold? And what we're going to do is we're going to just go down and on stream. I'll probably do 2 or 3 of them a stream, and we'll see how long it takes and how well that goes for a little bit. But what that's going to do is it's just going to be another option for you guys to get some tailored advice to what you need.
I love this idea. I have seen no less than a dozen people asking for something like this. I think Longhorn was in the Discord proposing that this be called something like lineup nightmares or something. And it's something that I think the community could really get a lot out of and really learn a ton from as you're deconstructing what's wrong about a lineup and then strategically targeting the assets and the cards needed to improve it and really break through what can be a tough ceiling. Like, how many people have we talked to over the many weeks we've been doing this that have something that say something along the lines of, oh, I keep going from gold to diamond, or I keep going from silver to gold and I can't stay up there, or I can get there but I can't compete when I'm there. And I think a show like this, for the teams that you feature, it's going to be a huge direct help to them, and that team is going to jump through the roof and really take a huge leap with your assistance. And then for everyone else that's watching, I think they're going to be able to pick up a ton and be able to apply a lot of the lessons, be able to steal some of the thoughts that you apply towards team building for their specific team. And I just think it's going to be something that the community has clearly been hungry for. And I'm so glad that not only is someone going to deliver it, but someone with as much credibility, insight, and expertise as you.
Appreciate that. So then what we're going to do is we're going to have a little fun segment. I have not come up with this yet. This will be something akin to Zoomer v. Boomer or Call Your Shot. And it's just something to like break up the time and have a little fun. If you have ideas for what you would like to see as a fun segment that is feasible for me to run on my own channel, please DM them to me on Discord. I would love to hear what you guys have for this because I'm still trying to theory craft it and I haven't come up with anything yet. But then after that, we're going to have another kind of, maybe if roster doctors are the main course, this might be the dessert. We're going to have a tournament kind of spotlight. And what that's going to be is we're going to pick a tournament at random from a bunch of different formats. And I'm going to on stream live construct a tournament roster and break down why I'm entering certain cards, why I'm building my lineup this way, what my strategy looks like, bullpen roles, everything I'm doing, I'm going to break down in real time for you guys. So I think this is a really cool way to just learn about roster building and get better at it, both in the roster doctor and the tournament spotlight. Just gives you some different aspects of building your team.
Absolutely. And I think this is another thing that's going to be extremely welcome for the community, not only for those that you happen to catch right at the right point in time where your random tourney selection lands on their specific chosen meta that they look to attack themselves, but rather just watching the process. How do you go about building a team? What are the considerations? What's the checklist that you're going through when making sure that your middle infield defense is this, or making sure that your mix of bullpen arms to starters is this? There's so much insight that can be gleaned from watching you build a tournament, whether it's the tournament that these guys are playing directly themselves or just watching the process unfold itself. So let's talk about when and where, Kidneys. When can people expect to see this incredible concept show launch?
So we're shooting for my pilot, my opening episode, Monday the 25th, and it will be at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So the same time as This Week in Perfect Team goes live on Thursdays. And that's going to be my opening. I'm getting a lot of prep done for this. It's not going to be like if you've tuned into any of my streams before. They're very informal, very laid back. I'm going to have slides made. I'm going to have an overlay. I'm going to try to bring the most DRC level professional experience possible to the stream.
Yeah, I have no doubt that you're going to absolutely kill it. I am so excited for you to set out on that journey, and the vision that you've come up with for the episode, I think, is so perfect for what the community is hungry for and for what the community can directly benefit from. I just know it's going to be an absolutely raving success, and people are not going to be able to get enough of it. I've linked Kidneys' Twitch account in the chat below. Go ahead, click on that, and then follow and click the notification bell so that the next time he goes live, you are proactively notified, and definitely check it out.
So I want to address, yes, I'm conflicting with Chicago Hope. The thing is, Chicago Hope is offline, and the problem is there's so many good streamers for Out of the Park now. We've really seen a rise in streamers. for Perfect Team and for offline game that I actually Monday night at 9 o'clock was one of the only slots I could do without conflicting with somebody else. I ran this by a bunch of community members first. So yes, I'm going to be competing with Chicago Hope, but it really is the best time, I think, for the community. If you want Chicago Hope open, run it for drops or whatever, leave me on in the background. I think that I offer a different type of audience something than what Chicago Hope is looking for. So that was kind of my logic with it. I also run shows at Saturday night and Sunday night at like around 9-10ish I start. And so on Saturday night, it's kind of just an informal, we hang around in Perfect Team. I have a guest on and we talk about stuff. On Sunday nights, I'm doing an offline sim of the base game. We're doing the Red Sox with Yuka. If you guys are familiar with Baseball Bingo on the main Discord, and she just streams a lot as well. She's a fantastic streamer, so we had a blast doing it last Sunday. It's been great. I'm really enjoying starting streaming on my own. I had somebody ask me if I'm still going to be doing Thursdays. Yes, you will catch me here at every week. I wouldn't dream of missing this. Doing this with you guys and with DRC has been such a surreal experience for me. So I'm really excited to try and break this out for you guys and branch out a little bit by myself. And I hope you stop by and help support me as I try and give back to the community a little bit more.
As someone is pointing out in the chat, look at that flowing cheddar on your head on that picture in the middle of the screen. Can you let us know? Can you give us some guidance on where you're taking the hairline? Are we going to keep it high and tight, or are you growing it back out?
I will grow it back out for sure. So the hair will return at a later date, TBD. Hopefully I'll get back from my almost balding self.
Balding's not so bad. All right, so that is going to do it for us tonight. But before we go, it's Perfect Point giveaway time. So let me load that up, and then we will open that up for you guys. The way that you're going to get into it and be entered is to type !ticket. And that should be open now. Let's see if we get people flowing in, and we sure do. And if you are lucky enough to be one of our 3 winners that is taking home 10,000 perfect points, then I need you to find me on Discord, DRC Nomads, and then DM me your Out of the Park Perfect Team username with the appropriate capitalization. And then I will send that on to the powers that be, and typically you'll have your perfect points by early morning, and we will take it from there. While we're wrapping up here and giving people an opportunity to sign up for the giveaway, let's talk about upcoming streams that we have to offer. We've got on Sunday the Perfect Team World Series that I will be doing as I always do. Excited to see who's going to be playing within that. If you haven't ever checked that stream out, definitely do. You get drops on that one. And then on Tuesdays, I'm going to have my interview show back with King Julian. We're going to hear about his BFF experience. We're going to hear about how he built his team. We're going to hear about how he came into DLL and then became a champion and won the Nut Up or Shut Up challenge in week number 1. Definitely a good time to be had by all. So we'll go ahead and close down the giveaway now. ! Ticket. I'll give you 5 more seconds to get in there. 3, 2, and 1. Our first winner tonight is, oh no, that can't be right.
No, that's broken.
That can't be right. We're going to need to get a professional in here to fix that, because it says that Walnut 3325 won, which I know can't be right. So we'll see if we can get it right here on the second try. Reader MJ, and then our third and final winner for the night is TF Llama. So congratulations to our winners. DM me on Discord with the Perfect Team username account that you want the points to go to. Make sure you do have the correct capitalization there. And other than that, we are all done here, Mr. Kidneys. Any closing thoughts for the audience?
Well, I mean, that's a lot. I've been trying to work on the show, the concepts for it. The main segment actually was Snaggle Jay's idea of all people, so thank you to him for that.
Wait, Snaggle has good ideas?
Yes, I know. I was as shocked as you guys probably are. But this is exciting. I love this community. I mean, baseball and Out of the Park has been such a passion of mine for a while. So the more I can do with it, the better for me. So I just want to say thank you to all you guys for showing up on Thursday. Thank you for everybody who's gonna, saying in the chat, you're gonna show up to my thing. I had somebody send me a roster already to look at. So you guys are crazy. I love this community, and just thanks for always being around.
Good stuff, kidneys. And just to call out some of our supporters before we close up here, Mac Jax, Snaggle, Chuck, as well as Wait Till Next Year, all gifted subscriptions to the chat. We had many new subscribers tonight, which was great to see. From a bit support perspective, we had Crash, SF Giant, Simple, Enigma, Walnut, as well as others, including some new faces. Here, Sean Paxler, I don't recognize your username, so great to see you hanging out with us tonight. Extreme UW, Zintali. So as always, thank you guys so much for the support. We love bringing this content to you weekly, and we really, really appreciate the support and encouragement to keep going. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up, and I will be seeing you on Sunday.